Hey there, Blazer fans, and welcome to episode 29 of the Dragon's Den, a podcast for those that bleed green and gold. Today, I have one of the hardest working Blazers in recent history. He played basketball for the men's team from 2013 to 2017 as a guard and forward. I'm talking about Mr. Tyler Madison. Before I head into the episode, stick around for a full This Week in Blazer History segment with flashbacks to men's and women's basketball scores, football scores, and birthdays from this week and next week in history. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for listening. All right, Blazer fans, I've got my guest here for episode 29 of the Dragon's Den, a former UAB basketball guard and forward from 2013 to 2017, Mr. Tyler Madison. Tyler, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, man. How's it going?
I'm doing great, man. I'm very excited to have you on. It seems like a lot of the fans and listeners are very happy to have you on too. I got a lot of good feedback about you being one of the toughest players on the team and always giving 110%. So I know my listeners and me included are very excited to have you on. So thank you for being on.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. It means a lot.
Yeah. Well, I know you weren't that long ago, but just a little bit of background into you before you came to UAB. You were a local player. You went to Shelby County High School, and in your senior year, you were Metro Birmingham and AHSAA Birmingham Tip-Off Club Player of the Year. You were an all Shelby County and all Metro Birmingham player, and you were first-team All-State performer and Mr. Basketball finalist in the state of Alabama in your senior year as well. According to a Future 150 article I found online, the schools that were recruiting you were UAB, Samford, Tulane, UTEP, Wright State, Air Force, Tennessee State, and Murray State, among a few others. But what made you choose UAB?
Yeah, so I grew up going to a lot of UAB games. Seeing the years where Mike Davis and Mike Anderson was there. So I'm big fan of UAB Blazers. So once Coach Has came and recruited me, he came to my house. We had a house visit. Everything felt great. The coaches were all great. They felt like they wanted to make UAB home for me. And so it's not far from my house. My house is actually about 30 minutes from Shelby County or Columbiana. So it was the best fit for me.
All right. Well, you played in your freshman year. You played in 19 games. UAB had some wild games that year, beating number 16 North Carolina, Nebraska, and Rutgers in the non-conference, but also lost some heartbreakers over the course of the year. It ended in an early exit in the Conference USA tournament to Charlotte. What did you learn in your freshman season that helped you going forward, and what do you remember most about that first year?
What helped me going forward was, getting used to the speed of the game. Coming from high school, you play 32 minutes. You go from that to 40 minutes a game, shot clock. So the speed of the game is totally different. So that was one thing I had to get used to. And one memory that I had of that season was definitely the win over North Carolina. I grew up being a North Carolina fan a lot. So beating them, that was big for me. And, to see Has get that win against Roy Williams, that was good too. So.
All right. Well, your sophomore year in 2014, 2015, you guys started 4-9 in non-conference play, but turned things around in conference going 12-6. That propelled UAB into a crazy March run. The first game of the Conference USA tournament was a nail-biting 53-52 win over Western Kentucky. Second was a 10-point overtime victory over one seed La Tech, and the championship game was against another unexpected tournament runner in Middle Tennessee State. UAB won 73-60 and you won the Conference USA tournament. Take my listeners through those three games and what do you remember from them?
I knew that, going into the games, we knew it was in Birmingham at Legacy Arena. So we knew we had to take care of, Birmingham. We had a streak going, I believe, at that time, if I'm not mistaken. And our mindset was if anybody come to Birmingham, they leave with an L. And that was our mindset. And that's the type of energy we carried going into that tournament. And everything clicked all at the right time. Everybody was playing good. Our chemistry was up. Our defense was great at that time. So we knew if we had a chance to come to Birmingham and win that Conference USA championship, we knew we were going to do it. And that's the type of confidence that we had during that run.
UAB turned around and faced 3-seed Iowa State in the NCAA tournament in Louisville. How did you guys feel going into that game against the Big 12 champions?
Going into the game, Coach has definitely had our confidence up. We knew we could play with anybody that we came up against. We had already played I think, number 2 ranked Wisconsin team, a highly ranked, I don't know if they were ranked, but we played Carolina in Chapel Hill, which was a tough game, and the whole Battle of the Bahamas. So we knew, going up against these Power 5 schools, if we went in and did what we were supposed to, we could compete and we could come out with, a win. And that's what we did.
Yeah, man. I was looking into that today. I was remembering that season. That was my first initial thought when I was, phrasing these questions and everything. I really thought to myself, you really weren't strangers to the big competition. Right. Iowa State and UCLA. That year, you had already faced, like you said, you had faced Florida, and you'd faced, I believe you faced UCLA in the battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas,
right.
in North Carolina, all these teams. So I feel like that non-conference schedule really helped you out in the stretch going into conference play and especially into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, that Wisconsin team, that's probably the best team that I've faced that, in my opinion, that we faced while I was there. That was a team, with Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, who are NBA players right now. That was a tough team. So we knew if we played against them, we knew, hey, it's not going to get better than that. So let's go in and let's do what we do, and we can take care of business.
All right. So in the Iowa State game, you came off the bench and scored 9 points and collected 11 rebounds. 9 of those rebounds were offensive rebounds. Those were crucial as UAB got many second chance points, out rebounding Iowa State 52-37. What do you remember from that game?
I vividly remember me and Denzel Watts. We were roommates during that tournament, and we were sitting in a room just thinking, like, man, we're here. Like, everything that we dreamed of growing up, going to the NCAA tournament, being here on the biggest stage in college basketball, like, we have to get the job done. We can't just come in here and lose or, get spanked and come back to Birmingham. We got to make a statement. And so I vividly remember being emotional before the game, like, man, I'm here. Now what we're going to do? So, us two made a pact, and I know the whole team made a pact once we all got together in the locker room. Like, look, we come in here, we're going to make a statement, and we're going to let people know who we are.
Take my listeners through that final minute. It was absolutely crazy. Just changing leads, and then of course, Robert Brown hitting that 3-pointer, and then Iowa State going down and I believe either tying it or taking the lead back, and then William Lee hitting that jumper, and then just all the madness that happened with the free throws, and then the tip in at the very end, and then of course the final celebration. What was that final minute like for you guys?
Kind of a funny story during that game. Every play that we drew up in the timeout worked. Like, every play was wide open, but something happened within those plays where we can never get the ball to the wide open person. So that last play for Robert Brown was a elevator door screen. I remember it to the corner, and I remember Coach Hass saying, "This is going to work. RB, once you get it, knock it down." And luckily that was the outcome. And I can't even remember what my mom was going through at that moment, because I was just, running wild and all over the place. So, I mean, it was fun, man. Like I say, everything worked that game, and it was just our day.
That's awesome. You guys stunned Iowa State to advance to the round of 32, but fell to UCLA in the next round. I will go to one of my social media questions from Russell Brasil at RussBus11 on Twitter. He asked, what was your favorite moment from that Conference USA and NCAA tournament run?
I think just seeing the joy of, Birmingham as a whole. We just got rid of our football team not too long before that. So, we needed something to rely on. So we actually made that a pact, like, look, we're going to do this for Birmingham. We're going to do this for all our fans. So let's go in and take care of business. We were very confident that day. I can say that.
Okay. So in your junior year, UAB took a step forward, going 26-7 and winning the Conference USA regular season title. You played in all 33 games. You set a record. UAB set a record for consecutive wins in a row that year with 14. The one team that seemed to be a thorn in your side was Western Kentucky. They snapped that 14-game winning streak in the regular season. You guys got back at them near the end of the year in a 71-67 win. But then you guys were upset in the first round of the Conference USA tournament in Birmingham. How frustrating was that loss in the tournament?
It was very frustrating, just because of the fact we thought we would, go back to another NCAA tournament. Us being all freshmen and, sophomore, and we had one senior, which was RB. We thought we would definitely get here at least one more time, but that's just, unless you can't take that for granted and how hard it is to get back to that level. Western Kentucky was a great team that year. They had a definitely an inside presence that was tough to stop. But, like I say, it just lets you know that it's not easy to get to that point we had made it to, like I said, in the NCAA tournament. And, we just sat back and was like, hey, next year, we can't take none of this for granted. We got to try to do whatever we can to get back to that point.
So UAB went on to play in the NIT after they lost to Western Kentucky. You fell to BYU on the road. You kind of elaborated on it a little bit, but what was the feeling around the team after such a promising start ended so quickly?
Like I say, it's, the NIT was great, to be a part of. It wasn't where we wanted to be, but, go to the NIT is good to be on that stage as well. I will say it's a lot different from going to the NCAA tournament as far as, once you go to the NCAA tournaments, you're staying in the best of everything. You got 5-star hotels, you got room service, you got gifts, NCAA gifts that they give you. Going to the NIT was a bit different. So it kind of sunk in really quick once we got to Provo, Utah. So, but yeah, that was a good team at BYU that year. And we didn't come in with the right mindset. I will say that.
Gotcha. Well, in your senior year, UAB struggled going 17-16. You played in 31 games and you stepped up in the absence of Nick Norton. Through it all, I remember you played 110%. Didn't matter if we were up or down. You were hyping the team and the crowd up and fighting until the final horn. What motivated you even in the tough times playing games?
Yeah, that year, my senior year, losing Nick Norton, that was tough for us. Everybody knows how big Nick was to that given team, what all he brought to that team. And so I believe that was the first game, if I'm not mistaken, that he went down. Mm-hmm. And so from there, it's kind of like, all right, everybody has to step up. We got to step up to try to get to that point again. Through the ups and downs, we know we have a team that can compete once we get to the conference tournament and we could win it all. So that was my mindset each game. Go out there, do whatever it takes to win, play as hard as I can, leave it all on the court, and let the chips fall where they lay.
All right. You're 6'4", but you played like you're 6'10", going after rebounds and driving to the hoop. I mean, I was in awe in some games. You'd, be driving and there'd be 3 guys in front of you and you would take it to the hole just as hard as, if it was one guy or if there was nobody there. You were driving to the basket with authority. You wanted to hit that basket. Even though you didn't play as much as some of the other guys, you may not hold some of the records now. You earned a lot of hustle points. Where did you learn that intensity?
I had 2 older brothers, one is 6'10" and the other is 6'6". So, and I'm the youngest by 12 years. So I grew up having to go against them every day of my life. They played professional basketball overseas. So every time they came home from college or from across the waters, they would always challenge me, and I would have to go up and compete against that. So it's either go up weak and get my shot blocked to the other end of the court, or to find a way to go in and finish. So that's what really, got me to this point that I was, finishing among, bigger guys and not being afraid of contact and being, always tougher than most. I would have to give that credit to my brothers.
Okay. Well, I go back to an AL.com article that featured you in 2015. And in the article, which focused on your freshman season, you were quoted as saying, "At the end of the day, I just want to win. It doesn't matter whether it's me not playing or me taking less shots. I just try to do whatever the team needs me to do to put us in the best position to get to the next game." In an age where so many guys are quick to transfer for playing time, what kept you at UAB, even though you may not have been starting every game or getting more points?
Man, I love the team. Like, our team, I knew what we were capable of. That was a great team, I believe, in my eyes. And the talent that we had on that team, the bond that we had, 1 through 12 or 13, that was the closest any team I've ever been around. And we all knew our role. Everybody knew what he needs to be doing for us to win. So that's what all I did, and that's what I tried to bring every game. leave it all on the court.
Awesome. So what was it like playing for Jared Hass and Robert Eson?
Yeah, playing for Hass and Eson, like I said, they were definitely players, coaches. Like they did whatever it took to make sure we had the best that we could have. You know, Hass definitely was. He wanted you to play as hard as you can, and he would do whatever it took to make sure while we were at UAB, we had everything we needed to succeed in the classrooms, on the court. You know, as far as treatment wise, making sure our bodies were healthy. So they did everything they needed to do for us. So in return, we had to play as hard as we could for them. And I like Hass. You can't help but not to like Hass. He's a great guy and a great coach. So.
Okay. What was it like playing with teammates like, you know, William Lee, Chris Coakley, Tosin Mahinty, Lewis Sullivan, Denzel Watts, Nick Norton, and, you know, the list goes on and on. For anybody, any of your former teammates listening, trust me, I'd love to have the list going on and on. I could. But just for the sake of the question, what was it like playing with all your former teammates? You know, what was it like, you know, on the court, off the court? What was it like playing with these guys?
Man, it was the best 4 years ever, man. It was playing with each other, man. It's like brothers playing with each other. We knew everything about one another. You know, we always hung out. I'm talking 1 to 12. If one person was here, you would see the rest of them coming sooner or later. Like, that's just the bond we had. So, you know, once we got on the court, it's like, all right, I'm playing for my brother, so let's do whatever it takes to, you know, help them out as well. So that's when you see that chemistry on the court, that winning streak that we had at home during, you know, the 14, 15, 16 season, it was all because of our bond on and off the court. You know, we were all brothers, and they can attest to this right now, man. We can call anybody right now, and they would do whatever it takes or whatever they need to do to help, you know, each other out.
One of my other social media questions comes from Jody at Jody Carley on Twitter. She asked, what was your favorite UAB memory / experience?
Definitely NCAA tournament. It's kind of tough to beat that. That is the best experience, like I said, because of the, you know, coming away with a win, you know, being on the biggest stage in basketball, actually, you know, playing on national TV. So that was definitely the best part, man.
Another question comes from John Valakis at JBall2001 on Twitter. He wants to know your thoughts on this year's team and any advice that you would share with them.
Yeah, this year's team, man, is very talented. You know, I like what AK is doing up there. I like the style of play that they have. One advice that I would give to them, just, man, enjoy every moment of it, because it goes by, you know, in the snap of a finger. So enjoy every moment. Don't take it for granted, and live it up.
One of my final questions I will share with a social media question from a listener, Tyler Cantrell, at Tyler_Cantrell on Twitter. He wants to know about your life post UAB, and he also said he loved your energy. So how is life now, Tyler?
Life's good, man. I can't complain. I recently just got hired as the community programs director of Calera, Alabama. So I can't wait to get started with that, and I see some big things that's going to develop from that as well. So you know, life is going great right now. I can't complain.
That's awesome. How can my listeners engage with you now?
Definitely, you know, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. The handle is tmad __, so TMAD __, and you can find me there, and, you know, reach out, and I'll reach back out.
Awesome. And I have one final question for you. It's a lighthearted question, something I ask all my guests, just to keep you on your toes. If you were playing in a game of 3-on-3 against current NBA players, and you needed to add 2 of your former UAB teammates to your team, who would you add?
You gonna put me out there, huh?
Yeah.
This is a tough one. Let's see. So 3-on-3 against 3 NBA players and 2 of my former teammates. I'm gonna definitely go Chris Coakley, and I need a rough defender in there, so I'm gonna go Hakeem Baxter.
All right. Okay. All right. Little hack name drop there. That's cool, man. I loved watching y'all play. Y'all were so fun. Being there, and, you know, being in college at UAB during that time was especially fun for me. You know, getting to witness it as a student and everything. I've been a long time UAB fan, but y'all were a very fun squad to watch. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for being a Blazer, and thank you for contributing to history. You were a fun team to watch, and you were a fantastic player on and off the court. We were so thankful for you. So thank you for being on the podcast tonight, man.
No problem, man. Like I say, it was a blast those 4 years at UAB, man. Just being in Bartow and on those Thursday and Saturday nights doing conference, nothing beats those nights, man. So I appreciate you for having me on.
All right, man. Go Blazers.
Go Blazers.
All right. Thanks again to Tyler for joining me and sharing his stories with all of us in Blazer Nation. Tyler's unselfish and hard-nosed play is something that was just so awesome to watch. So thank you again, Tyler, and I wish you continued success in your life now. And now I will move to the This Week in Blazer History segment. All stats, scores, birthdays, and stories are gathered by longtime Blazer fan Steve Rutherford at Memphis Blazer on Twitter. I'm covering games and birthdays from November 15th through November 28th in UAB history. And I will start things off with one of the greatest moments in UAB basketball history. I'm going to cover the Great Alaska Shootout. That was all the stories and stats compiled by Steve Rutherford. Going over the Great Alaska Shootout, and then we'll get to birthdays and notable games from UAB history. I mentioned this Great Alaska Shootout because it was played during the Thanksgiving holiday, and obviously next week is going to be Thanksgiving. So UAB opened the 1984-1985 season by playing in the Great Alaska Shootout. At the time, one of the premier preseason tournaments in the country. The field was UAB, Tennessee, number 2 Illinois, Idaho State, Kansas, Maryland, Oregon, and Alaska Anchorage. With the tournament being played 4,235 miles away from Birmingham on Thanksgiving weekend and no television, the tournament received very little publicity in Birmingham, where it was also Iron Bowl weekend. It was reported that UAB had 2 fans at the games, 2 UAB graduates who were stationed at the Air Force Base in Anchorage. The first round opponent was Tennessee, who had played in the NIT tournament the previous season and was coached by Don DeVoe. In a back-and-forth game, UAB's defense held UT scoreless for over 6 minutes in the second half, and the Blazers led 68-60 with 1:55 to go. With a chance to put the game away, UAB struggled, going 2 of 8 from the free throw line in the last 134. Tennessee had cut the lead to 3 points with 45 seconds to go, but James Ponder and Steve Mitchell hit free throws to finally put the Volunteers away 70-65. In the second game, UAB played Illinois. The Illini, who had tied for the Big Ten title the year before and made the Elite Eight, had 4 starters returning. They were coached by Lou Henson, who had replaced Gene Bartow when Bartow had left in 1976 to go to UCLA. UAB led for most of the game and pushed the lead to 11 points with 14:36 to go in the game and coasted the rest of the way. Bartow had the defense packed in a tight zone, daring Illinois to shoot from the outside. Illinois had only 6 field goals in the final 14 minutes of the game. The Blazers won 59-52, upsetting the number 2 team in the country. The final game of the Alaskan Shootout was against Kansas. Kansas was coached by Hall of Fame coach Larry Brown and had Danny Manning as a freshman. The game saw big runs back and forth, but the turning point may have come with about 10:50 to go when 7-1 Greg Dealing for Kansas took a swing at Archie Johnson for UAB and was ejected from the game. With Dreeling out of the game, the middle was opened up for UAB, and the Blazers took the lead with 28 seconds to go when Steve Mitchell converted a 3-point play, and UAB led 48-46. UAB held on to win 50-46 and won the Great Alaskan Shootout with wins over an SEC power, the number 2 and number 19 teams in the country. Jerome Mincy and Steve Mitchell were named to All-Tournament Team, with Mitchell named the MVP. In the next AP poll, UAB went from unranked to number 13 in the nation. Normally, this is the part where I'd cover all the games that have happened on this date in UAB history, but just for the sake of time and because it's now basketball season, there are so many games that I would have to cover, so I'm only going to cover notable birthdays and anniversaries and also the records from men's basketball, football, and women's basketball games on these dates. On November 15th, we have 3 birthdays. Born in 1985, Michael Anderson Jr., former UAB guard and son of former UAB coach Mike Anderson. Born in 1955, former UAB football coach Neil Calloway. Happy birthday, Coach. Born in 1999, current UAB women's golfer Lexi Dawson. The men's basketball team is 2-3 all-time on November 15th. The football team is 2-0, and the women's basketball team is 2-4. November 16th, 2 birthdays. Born in 1983, former UAB football defensive back Carlos Hendricks. Carlos had a great career at UAB and went on to play pro football for a few seasons. Born in 1961, Llewellyn Foster, a great guard that played for the Blazers from 1980 to 1984. On November 16th, the men's basketball team is 2-2 all time. Football is 3-1, and the women's basketball team is 2-1. November 17th, only one notable birthday, former UAB football running back Pat Shedd. Happy birthday, Pat. The men's basketball team is 7-1 all time on November 17th. Football team is 2-3, and the women's basketball team is 4-5. November 18th, three notable birthdays. Born in 2001, current UAB women's tennis player Sydney Clark. Happy birthday, Sydney. Born in 1977, Bill Armstrong. Bill played basketball for the Blazers in the late 90s and early 2000s and is currently an assistant coach at LSU. Born in 1999, current UAB women's basketball guard Claudia Armato. The men's basketball team is 3-3 all time on November 18th. The football team is 2-2, and the women's basketball program is 2-1. November 19th, no notable birthdays. The men's basketball team is 1-2, football team is 2-0, and the women's basketball team is 4-4. November 20th, a couple of birthdays. Born in 1998, current UAB baseball pitcher Brady Green. And born in 1981, Asa Woods. Asa played guard for the men's basketball team in the early 2000s. November 20th hasn't been very friendly to the men's basketball team, who is 2-6 all time on this date. The football team is 4-0, though, on November 20th, and the women's basketball team is 3-2. November 21st, two birthdays. Born in 2001, current UAB women's basketball guard Maddie Walsh. Happy birthday, Maddie. And also born in 2001, current UAB women's golfer Marilyn Steed. The men's basketball team is 4-3 all time on November 21st. The football team is 2-1, and the women's basketball team is 3-5. On November 22nd, even though it's not a birthday, we'd like to acknowledge those that we've lost. In 2015, the Blazer family lost Anthony Gordon. Gordon played for the Blazers from 1982 to 1986 and has his name in the record books a few times, including top 10 in career rebounds, block shots, and games played. The men's basketball team is 9-3 all time on November 22nd. Football team is 2-2, and the women's basketball team is 5-3. On November 23rd, no notable birthdays. The men's basketball team is 5-3. Football team is 1-1, and the women's basketball team is 3-3. November 24th, two notable birthdays. Born in 1982, Jeffrey Collins, former UAB men's basketball guard in the early 2000s, and also born on November 24th, born in 1997, Zach Bryant, former UAB men's basketball guard that played for the Blazers from 2017 to 2019. The men's basketball team is 7-5 all time on November 24th. The football team is 0-3, and the women's basketball team is 10-4. And November 25th, one notable birthday, born in 1987, former UAB football defensive end Bryant Turner. Men's basketball team is 7-4 all time on November 25th. The football team is 1-1, and the women's basketball team is 6-3. On November 26th, there is two notable birthdays. Former UAB men's golfer and current pro golfer Paul Dunn, and current UAB softball player Alyssa Aguilar. The men's basketball team is 5-5 all time on November 26th. The football team is 0-2, and the women's basketball program is 7-7. On November 27th, one notable birthday, Chris Thomas, a former UAB men's basketball forward that played in the late 80s. And this is where we really started to see a heavy amount of basketball games. The basketball season used to not start until late November, so this is where we saw a ton of games all time for UAB. On November 27th, UAB men's basketball team is 15-5 all time. The football team is 0-2, and the women's basketball team is 8-4. And there are three notable birthdays on the final day, November 28th. Born in 1975, Todd Campbell, former men's basketball center in the mid-90s. Born in 1981, Gabe Kennedy, former men's basketball forward in the early 2000s. And born in 1999, Trey Jemison, current UAB men's basketball center. Happy birthday, Trey, and happy birthday to all current and former Blazers that share these dates. The men's basketball team is 8-6 all time on November 28th. The football team is 0-1, and the women's basketball team is 6-6. And that's going to do it for this week in Blazer history in episode 29 of the Dragon's Den. In the coming episodes, I'm probably going to have more basketball stories, so be on the lookout for those. Be sure to check out my social pages for all the latest UAB news and episode announcements. You can find me at the handle at Dragon's Den EFEL. Once again, that's at Dragon's Den EFEL on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks again for listening. Happy Thanksgiving, good night, and go Blazers.